Man, a lot going on this week. Something we didn't mention last week that I kind of wanted to throw out there kind of to start with, man, was the world lost somebody fantastic, man. One of my, man, I mean, literally one of the people that I would consider a childhood hero, somebody that I always looked up to, talking about big mean George Foreman. Man, you brought that up. We were talking about this week's episode and some of the things we're going to discuss. And that was one of the things that we kind of brought up. And, man, it made me think that I felt, since we get older, and common thread here, it seems like we're going to talk about us getting older. But it seems that maybe we notice it more, but just celebrity after celebrity, man, we just lose these people who to us, maybe we just don't pay attention when you're young, but when you start to, like I said, when you start to get older and the people that you grew up watching and the people that you were excited about, I'll never forget. I knew who George Foreman was as a small kid. Right. But do you remember when first time my family ever went on vacation, my parents bought like that travel van, and it was just for that trip. And we went to Florida, stayed in some roadside motel, went to Disney for one day. We had a ball. But one thing that I remember about that trip, specifically, and I think I was 12. I think I was 12 years old. Yeah. And one thing that I remember about that trip, like really deep into detail, is that in the motel on the way home, we watched George Foreman's comeback fight when he first came back. Yeah. He just beat the brakes off of some poor white boy. I don't know who it was. He just dang near knocked his head off. But man, that's literally one of the most vivid memories I have from the first vacation that my family ever took was George Foreman.
George Foreman's comeback. I thought you were going to say you got a George Foreman grill and used it in the motel.
No, that came later. I've certainly used a few George Foreman grills.
I don't know how true it is, but Hulk Hogan said that that could have been the Hulk Hogan grill, but he missed a phone call where he turned it down. And then instead he got like the Hulk Hogan Bullet Master, whatever that little mixer was. You think there's any truth to that?
I bet there is.
Do you think it would have sold as much as the George Foreman grill?
I don't know. I don't know that Hulk Hogan would have worked it like George did.
That's true.
George took ownership of that grill, baby. And that dude sold the snot out of that grill. You know what? So much so that it came that's like an American iconic thing now, that George Foreman grill. I don't know if you know this or not. When that was kind of at its peak was when my boys were at the kind of Nickelodeon watching age. Yeah. And there was an episode of one of the shows on Nickelodeon that they watched. I think it was Drake and Josh is the show. And they had the whole subject or the whole idea or whatever the plot of that particular episode was Gary Coleman had the Gary Coleman grills. And they had stowed like a truckload of Gary Coleman grills, and Gary Coleman was all mad. And he was and Gary Coleman was on the show. He was a guest on the show that episode. So, but yeah, man, the death of George and then, not only George, but who died a couple of weeks ago right before that. Him and his wife were both found dead.
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, man. Who was another. So for me, really for us, we're born in Indiana.
Hoosiers.
Gene Hackman was the coach, man, of Hoosiers, and so he's another one that. Because that was kind of a crazy situation, man. They found out that he had like dementia, and that his wife had gotten sick, and so she died, but he couldn't help her. And then I guess the dog starved. Did the dog starve to death? Is that what happened to the dog?
They had 3, and one of them